trucks, man.
Yeah.
Trucks. They are versatile. They're useful tools. So, get a truck. Go to your local Ford dealer and say, give me your most expensive truck.
Happy Honda Days, motherfucker. It's time to buy a truck. Hey, welcome to Video Game Podtimism. It is the Optimists video game variety show where and in which two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
And my name is David.
Hello. Felt very rhythmic there.
You really had a cadence to it that time.
Yeah.
It felt good.
Yeah. I just feel like we're really in the year now, we're hanging out. I'm looking at the game releases. January is here. It's reared its terrible, ugly head again.
Yep.
But we're here to make it through together.
January has been, at least in Santa Barbara, gorgeous this year. It's been just sunny, blue skies and warm. It's been like 70s.
Man,
I've been here to visit.
It's of course there are colder places than Seattle, but the I would say the average temperature recently has been about 40. Largely has been in the 40s.
Ooh, man,
and it's just dark. It's
if it gets
dark
to 45 outside. At night, I'm like, it's too cold to live. This is too cold.
Yeah, I'm wearing long johns like inside.
Damn. Pour one out for the Seattle homies.
This isn't the weather complaining podcast, but like it's more speaking to
the
my
podcast where two old men complain about the weather.
I know, literally yelling at clouds. But it's more to describe my disdain for January and just sort of the experience that January is. But I will say that the experience of making a podcast in January is pretty fun, pretty good. A video game one specifically.
Yes, like
this one right here. Because we get to play all the weird shit. Dynasty Warriors hasn't come out, and I haven't been able to kiss Cow Cow yet, and so I have plenty of shit that I can play that's been sitting around collecting dust for a little while.
Listen, was it Konami? Are they the one who make Dynasty Warriors?
I thought it was Bandai Namco.
All right, Bandai Namco. This man wants to kiss Cow Cow. Just release the damn game already.
Developers Koei and Koei Tecmo, actually.
Oh, Tecmo, release the damn game already. This man wants to kiss Cow Cow.
It's coming out this week. By the time this episode drops, it will be out. I also saw that they were advertising a Bond event cutscene, which...
A Bond event cutscene?
Which to me
like
reads,
James Bond.
No. Like my read on it is that it sounds like a social link cutscene essentially.
So it's not just Daniel Craig all of a sudden in feudal
no,
China.
I don't think they put Craig in this one, unfortunately.
Bummer.
But it does mean that you can be friends with the historical Chinese warriors. So that's not a bad idea. And that opens the door for kissing. I'm going to be real. That a Bond event is, it's in the realm.
Trauma bonding, you mean?
What?
Trauma bonding?
I mean, in this case, it probably would be trauma bonding given the sheer amount of sort of destruction and war that is going on in Dynasty Warriors. But, do what we can.
Do what we can.
I'm excited about that game.
You really enjoyed the demo, right?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I was curious to try it, but I have so many other games on my docket right now. I just didn't even have time for a demo.
Yeah, that's fair.
Got things to play.
I'll let you know. how it goes.
Please.
Speaking of your gaming habits, I feel like I was peeking out my window, and by that I mean I'm on my computer all day and I see some of your activities every now and then.
Oh yeah,
and like
you saw me downloading all those hentai games. Sorry,
and
very embarrassing.
One of the things I saw was I was looking outside and I sort of saw a little blooming flower, just like a beautiful sight. It was 2:00 in the afternoon on a Thursday or something.
Yeah,
and here's David playing UFO 50.
I was playing UFO 50, Chase.
How are you playing this?
I've been sunshined and moonlight pilled, my friend.
Go. This is what I was hoping. When I was sitting inside my house looking at this blooming flower, I was like,
yeah.
I wonder if David's just rocking Moonlight so hard that he's playing UFO 50 on his lunch break or something.
I am rocking it hardcore right now. It is on. I downloaded it for my Apple TV.
Yeah.
And I paired one of my Xbox controllers to it. So now I have my Steam library on my television.
That's
excellent
huge.
Excellent move. I also downloaded it to my Retroid Pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And it works so well on that.
Really? Wow.
Especially UFO 50 feels like this is the right size size for this game to be played because so many of them feel like Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance games in particular. It is just it's perfect. It's really quite something. So yeah, I've just been it's insane. The Sunshine of Moonlight. I'm like, okay, I guess I have a Steam Deck now, ostensibly.
Yeah.
Right. It's not native. I understand that, but I get the graphics of my computer on this little tiny screen that I can just take anywhere and access great games with an internet connection. And it doesn't even take that much. It doesn't even take that much battery as well. I could play for like hours with doing this, and it's fine. It's not a problem. It really feels like finally the promise of streaming has been realized.
Yeah,
how good it could be. I'm totally fine having the streaming coming from my own computer as opposed to like some cloud computer that you don't know what is going to be going on with it that day and sharing it and getting throttled by whoever is controlling it. Right. It just works so well. It works so well. I noticed like a little bit of slowdown, but all I had to do was just turn my computer off and back on, and then it was fine again. No problems.
I have the same thing every now and then. I'm like, is it the internet that's the problem? And then you just hit a restart and it's like very fine again.
It's fine. Yeah, it just doesn't like being on for too long, I guess. So
something. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it is sort of miraculous how low latency it usually is. Like it's usually like it feels like I'm playing it without any lag, or like the amount of lag that would come with just playing a digital device in the first place. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. It felt totally normal, totally fine. Been playing a lot of different Steam games on there. Played a little bit of Far Cry 2 on my Retroid Pocket, which was wild.
That's cool.
Just teeny tiny screen.
Yeah.
Which presents its own difficulties with a game that is intended for the PC.
Sure.
But still crazy that, I have really good looking graphics on this tiny handheld that I'm just streaming. It's just, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
But really it's UFO 50 that I've been playing the most of on it.
Yeah, sure.
Specifically Magic Garden. Magic Garden is so good. I love Magic Garden. I did not know that I needed someone to look at Snake and be like, I can make this more interesting, and then just nail it. Absolutely nail it. It's addictive in the best possible way, where I automatically know what the game wants me to do and what I'm supposed to do. It's just, can I get it done with the correct inputs, with the correct amount of pre-planning? There's something that is both fast and slow about the game, which I really enjoy. You really have to look ahead and plan things out methodically.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you really have to be on your game as to how quickly you are changing direction, because if you miss a square and you're going along taking that train into the wrong square, you could die pretty easily. You really got to be navigating that minefield. So yeah, that one is excellent. I really enjoy Magic Garden. Did you enjoy that one when you played UFO 50, Chase?
I did, yeah. It's so many of these games feel like what if this but that, and sometimes it just comes together so well, because it is Snake, right? You have the little like blobs that you're carrying behind you, and you have to kind of like format them into the shape that the little star pattern has to be able to like get rid of them. And then it's also Pac-Man in the sense that you drink those like potions which turn the little blue blobs into like ghosts that you can now eat for points.
It does have that Pac-Man. Yep.
Yeah, which is all just like, it seems so simple, and I always like love an idea that when you see it, you're like, how did I not think of this? How did I never think to put these two things together? But I think it speaks to the ingenuity of the team, and then also like how well they can make a game, because it's not a shoe-in that like those ideas just perfectly go together. You do have to tune them to make it all feel right. But man, it feels great to play that. Just a game that you're like, I could just sit here and play this for hours.
Like, I think it was like the 6th or 7th game in. I'm just like, I'm good.
I've already got my money's worth here.
Yeah. So is it one team that made this game, or was it and they all made these small games together, or was it divvied out to different designers?
I actually don't know, but my sort of, I think, read on it just from hearing other people talk about it was that like it was a team, and I suspect that they probably just kind of kicked their games around together of like, hey, I have this, how can we tune it, or like, could you take a pass at this or something? Yeah, because they're all listed on there. It's not like this person made this game specifically, but I think you can definitely see some of the influence of some of the creators specifically. But like, just some of the people who work on this game, you can kind of feel their influences from other games, and you might be able to attribute some of the credit there. But still, like, my sort of guess is that they probably made a lot of these, or at least some of these, on their own. Then they're like, all right, how do we make this better? Or like play testing it and shit like that.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's incredible. I I don't think I've even gotten like a third of the way through yet. Each game is so different and interesting. And some I'm just like, this is not my cup of tea at all. And I move right on. And then the next one's like, this is absolutely my jam. This is great. Yeah. So I really appreciate that about the game. And I'm also curious to see like going through the game, maybe going back to the ones that didn't resonate with me at first. I'm like, okay, no, I get it now. I think some of these you do have to kind of take a deeper dive with to really get to the meat of the nut, I should say, the juicy morsels that are inside. I don't know why that got weird. But anyways, I also really liked A Tactics. That one's very fun.
Tactics is great. Yeah. God.
That one's really good. I liked Bushido Blade. Bushido Blade's a lot of fun. And Kick Club. I really enjoyed Kick Club so far.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, I think I'm on like the second row of games, and I've already found like 4 or 5 that I think are really good. Oh, and the paint racing one is also really fun.
Yeah, fucking Splatoon Pac-Man is like suddenly very good.
Man, it's so good. It's fucking smart.
That's the thing, yeah.
It's just so kind of simple and elegant, right? Yeah. It's just very basic in how they are riffing on these things, but these different parts come together so beautifully. And it's like those old Reese's peanut butter commercials, like, you got peanut butter in my chocolate, you got chocolate in my peanut butter.
Yes.
Hey, this is actually amazing. You got Snake in my Pac-Man. You got Pac-Man in my Snake. This is great. I love Magic Garden. It's a wonderful game. So yeah, just very excited to keep on playing through. And like I said, it is just the perfect size for the Retroid Pocket. It works so well. Is Snacks going crazy?
Yeah, she was just barking dog outside.
Gotcha.
It does feel like it's almost meant to be played on some kind of handheld game or game system, you know?
Yeah. It feels correct when it's in my hands on the couch, just laid back, taking it easy. Yeah, definitely. It's perfect. Really good.
I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but Brendan Bigley, I think, was talking about, I think on his blog Wavelengths or maybe a video about UFO 50. And he was saying like what games you should start with. And I know that there's always some disagreement online about like, should you play Barbuda first or not?
Sure. Yeah.
Cause like it's challenging, right? Like Barbuda almost like puts a maybe bad foot forward in a way. Because it's like not a very fun game to play in the way that a lot of the other games are immediately like, wow, this is great right now, you know?
I would say it is, I think, the most true to some of those old games, though.
Yes, yeah.
In a way. Just inscrutable.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. It's slow. There's no music. But you do feel some compulsion to keep going for some reason.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it in a way of like, it's a nice way to like, not cleanse your palate, but sort of like set your palate in a way. Anybody who has played that era of games will recognize Barbuda in a lot of ways of like, yes, I've played stuff like this before and it's quite challenging, you know? And so like it in a way, it's kind of nice to play that and then play all the other ones. Cause it's like, well, it's immediately distinguishing itself from the rest of the games by being so different. And Barbuda is almost like a counterpoint to that of like, we know how to make these old ones too, or something. It's, you know, I don't want to attribute any sort of intent there, but it is interesting to play that one first, you know? And the fact that they just put it first, like that's the first game in there.
It seems intentional.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And I think that what you're saying, like it sets the tone of the game for better or for worse.
Yes,
but I think that having that one first and then having all these other very much more fast-paced, rockable games right afterwards, I think really makes that shine so much more. So I think it really kind of shows how game design changes from something that someone first did to like even just the second game where they're like, okay, no, I really get it now. How to do this.
Yeah, and even the sequel games in UFO 50 are so interesting because you're like, what did you change and why? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm curious to play Mortal 2.
Yes.
I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm curious to try it.
Yeah. I love Bug Hunt or whatever that one is. The tactics bug game.
The Bug Hunter?
Yes.
Yeah, Bug Hunter.
Love that one. Love to hunt a bug.
That feels like a chase game.
Yeah.
Feels like a chase game.
Well, kind of tacticsy, you know. It's like again, it's also like a tactics game and a little bit, but then also like definitely a roguelike, you know, of like almost a deck builder, not quite, but like the same fun stuff of like drafting units and shit is like we're good here.
I know this game. I know this game.
I know that. I'm interested to see if you start to beat or cherry any of the games. Cherrying is essentially like getting through it in a certain way, like beating it in a certain way. Because once you start to unlock that, then it's like, oh God, do I have to do this for all these games? I probably do, don't I?
Sound like Donkey Kong at that point.
Yes.
I think is what they say. I will probably do it. I've never been a completionist. So I don't think I will. But I think there will be a select few that'll be like, I really enjoy this one and I will cherry this one.
Sure.
I will pick and choose what what I cherry. But now that I have a Steam Deck Lite, a steamy dish, what are some good indies that I should check out now at this point, Chase?
Oh my God.
Because I feel like this is going to be my indie machine.
Yeah. Oh, that is such a hard question. I don't know. I'm going to have to come back to you with a list, I think.
Search through your library. Find me the funnest games you have.
Yeah, the smaller games. I feel like we usually keep mostly abreast of game releases, but
yeah,
I'm sure that there's something in there that like we have missed over the years. God. I mean, I'm sure like I will say visual novels are pretty much like the best shit for Moonlight and Sunshine right now for me.
I believe it.
Because it's so easy to stream. Like you don't read like it can work on almost any device given the sort of like simplicity of just, scrolling through text and choosing some stuff.
Yeah.
One that I've downloaded but I haven't played yet is The House in Fata Morgana, which I've just like heard is like the best. So it might be worth checking out if you're into that.
Maybe I should try mouthwash.
You should try mouthwashing. It's harrowing. It's a tough watch, but
it's a tough wash.
It's a tough wash. It's a tough mouthwash. But that's a fun one, or a good one. Fun is not the right word.
Yeah. Okay. It's an experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll come back to you with a list, David. I will
Please.
find you a list of good indie games that you should play.
Okay. Great. I've also been playing.
Yeah.
Some weird stuff on. So I got this Apple TV, and since I just bought it, I get 3 months free of Apple Arcade.
Okay.
And I paired my Xbox controller to the Apple TV.
Yeah.
So now I'm just like, okay, now I can let's see what games are on here, see if there's anything good. They got some weird stuff on the Apple Arcade. I played a little Dead Cells on there.
Yeah, nice.
Like I think I've tried to get into Dead Cells a couple times. I don't know if it's for me, but it's fun that it's on there.
Sure.
I played a little bit of they remade Oregon Trail. Apparently, I played a little bit of that. I found it there was too much tutorial. I just wanted to get in there and ride the trail, baby. Just let me ride the trail. But it was fun. I appreciated what they were doing there, especially the more recognition of the native cultures and how that was not a good time for them. So I think a good game regardless. The one I played the most of, though, I hate to admit, is Warped Kart Racers, Chase.
Warped Kart Racers?
Yes.
Racers. What is this game?
This is it is a kart racing game with the characters from Family Guy, American Dad, King of the Hill, and Solar Opposites, which I've only been somewhat cognizant of. And I figured, hey, let's give this a shot. It is.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. It is absurd. Yeah, it's hard to put this game into words. I don't know why they decided that these 4 IPs needed to go together, but
this
they kind of work.
Collection of characters is so weird.
Like Family Guy and American Dad, I get it. The Seth MacFarlane connection.
Yeah.
But then King of the Hill?
That is the odd one out, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. I feel like for me personally, King of the Hill is somewhat elevated comedy compared to those other 3 on there. But regardless, it's a fun little kart racer.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just Mario Kart with these characters. You don't even have to press the go button; it just goes for you.
Cool.
So it's like if you had that assist turned on Mario Kart, which is nice. I don't think I don't. Looking back on it, I'm like, do I need to be pressing A to go as fast as I need to in Mario Kart? Typically,
I'm almost never not doing it.
The only time I don't is if I'm doing the 200cc, and then I'm actually kind of braking around turns sometimes while I'm drifting. But even at 150, I don't really ever have to take my hand off A. It's just contributing to thumb strain, really.
Right.
And the courses are somewhat fun. They are like recognizable. I'm kind of disturbed by the amount of Family Guy content that I recognize, but I was pretty big into Family Guy as a lot of people were. When I was in high school in like the late aughts, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
The mid to late aughts in its heyday. So it's just there's a sense of fun that comes from revisiting those spots from my youth. And I was a Hank Hill main, which felt right. It felt good to be Hank Hill opining about propane as he blasts people away off their carts. That's fun. Hank and Bobby are the best characters, I would say. And
I'm not convinced I'm not hallucinating this right now. This feels like kind of a dream. I'm watching clips of the game. And
if you feel that way watching it, try playing it.
You saying I'm a Bobby main was like the kick in Inception for me to be like, I think I might actually have to wake up now.
Yeah, where's your totem, Chase? Is your totem working properly?
Yeah, my empty Topo Chico right now signals to me that I am not in a dream, because in every dream it would be a little full, but it's empty.
Be a little full. There's always more left in the Topo Chico in Chase's dreams. What a beautiful thing.
Yeah, never runs out.
Yeah, this game was weird, but I played a lot more of it than I thought I would.
I mean, which
made me look at myself in the mirror a little bit differently.
It looks like a good racer is the problem.
That's the thing. It's like it's not bad. Whoever decided to make this put a decent amount of effort into it, and it shows, honestly.
Yeah.
Is it the most amazing kart racer ever? No. If I had to pay for this, would I? Probably not. But it's fun as just like a little flyer to just try out Apple TV arcade games. So yeah, and I have a lot of other weird ones downloaded too that I will sprinkle in throughout the podcast for the next like couple weeks.
I hope
there's
ones
some
that
surprising
make me
ones.
Question reality a little less.
Yeah, like if I was playing this game and there was friends playing in the background, would that like just send you over the edge?
Yeah, I'd presume that would be some sort of torture, and that I have now been relegated to purgatory.
Just like, hey man, you want to see me main Hank Hill on this course in Quahog Harbor?
I'm a Bobby Hill main. It's just like a Manchurian Candidate activation phrase for me right now. I'm just like, this isn't anything.
Yeah, has that sentence been uttered before? Did I create a new sentence?
Maybe. Or maybe it's one that my soul has been wanting to hear for a long time. Like calling out from the void.
Bobby Hill for Multiversus. Who says no?
Who says no?
Says no.
Oh man.
But they do also offer the ability to like level up your character of choice to get better skins. Yeah. And there's like a demon Hank Hill, which is fun.
This feels like the same thing as like the most recent Call of Duty being kind of good.
Sure. Yeah.
Like probably the people who you want to talk to the least about video games are also going to like this one, but like it's still maybe a good game.
It's just like somehow it was a good game.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So give it a shot. See if you like it.
I don't know if I can do that, David. I don't know if I can participate.
That's very understandable, actually. That's very understandable.
It's sort of, again, it's like looking into the void. I'm scared that something is going to look back,
Yeah. I also like that they called it Warped Kart Racers. No mention of any of these IPs at all.
Nothing in there about Family Guy, American Dad, King of the Hill, or there's a fourth one, right?
Solar Opposite.
Yes, yeah.
Which was made by a man who is now rightfully
disgraced
canceled.
Shithead. Yeah.
Justin Roiland. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting choices for shows in this one. Yeah. It exists.
Is this Lies of P again?
How so? What do you mean here?
Like it's a good version of something that we're always kind of clamoring for, Like nobody can step to Mario Kart truly, but maybe Warped Kart Racers is not too bad of an imitation.
Mario Kart 8 is what, like 9 years old now at this point? Older?
I feel like it's like 18. It's so old now.
It came out with the Wii U, and I was playing that in Sacramento in like 2014, I think. So I think I might be at least 11 years old.
Oh my God. Yeah, that checks out. I also played that at the very same house, and that feels like a different lifetime ago.
It sure does. Well, Warped Kart Racers is putting Nintendo on notice. They are going to eat your lunch if you don't start putting out more Mario Kart games, guys. Come on.
If you don't
people want the karts.
If you don't put out Mario Kart 9, they're going to put Aqua Teen Hunger Force in the next one.
Ooh, whoa.
Another just totally disparate, unrelated cartoon.
A real swerve. The only one that would give this legitimacy would be like The Simpsons, but I feel like The Simpsons is too good for this.
A little bit. They also have so many games already,
Yeah, they have their own universe of games. They don't need this. They're too big.
Yeah, so like I think they're kind of good.
Also, the app icon for this game is something else, where it's just Peter Griffin front and center, and then the dad from American Dad like trying to overtake him.
Do I know you anymore? Are you the same David that I recorded the podcast with last week, or are you a different guy now?
Well, I can't play these games. I'm not allowed.
Like, are you a Family Guy now? Is that what's happening? Is that the arc?
I cannot even remember the last episode of Family Guy I watched, but I will say those first 3 seasons were okay.
Yeah, I wonder if they're funny to me now as a grown man.
I'm scared to go back and watch.
Yeah, it's probably bad.
Probably, but no, I wouldn't say I'm a Family Guy man. I'm a family man, but I wouldn't say I'm a Family Guy man.
Yeah.
But the game, the icon of the game, and the conceit beat of it enticed me.
Yeah.
And I played it and it wasn't bad.
Oh, it's frightening.
I challenge you, Chase.
It's bracing hearing you talk about this.
Give it a shot.
It's like one of your friends who starts the sentence with like, so I've gotten into ayahuasca. Like, okay, whoa, we got a lot to unpack here. Are you going to be cool about this, or is this going to be your whole thing now?
Yeah. I met this guy at the beach and he was saying some really interesting things, and he gave me a flyer and then got into his Volkswagen bus and drove away with 20 other people and invited me over, and I think I might go.
He seems very charismatic, and the only thing I need to do is throw away all contact with the rest of my family. And
yeah, he told me to say goodbye to all my friends and family because I'm going to live with him now.
Yeah, so some kind of commune that he's advertising that looks pretty cool.
His name was Peter Griffin.
Oh my God. We're just a Family Guy podcast now.
This is a family cast now. But yeah, I was very surprised by this game. This was weird. It was a weird experience.
This is a weird experience just hearing you talk about it.
Focus on Hank Hill. Focus on Hank, Chase.
Look at Hank. Hank is
Look at Hank. Hank is your totem.
Yes, no, Hank Hill is my totem. When I get the kick from, oh God, what's the name of the alien in American Dad?
Oh, I just want to say
Roger?
Stan. It's Roger. You're right. Wow. Chase is a big American Dad fan.
I did watch it. That's the dark history, you know?
Maybe you're so disturbed by this because you're seeing me you reflected in me right now.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the things that we don't like about other people the most are the things that we see the most in ourselves, David.
It's true. Very true.
Know? Maybe if I can forgive the Family Guy in you, you can forgive the Family Guy in me.
I will hug your Peter if you hug mine.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this.
Oh.
If you could talk to the young Peter inside of you, what would you tell them?
Yeah, what would you tell him? Oh my God.
Anyways, I gotta get us out of this.
Please.
I've also been playing Cat Quest 2.
Oh, okay. We're back to regularly scheduled gaming. That's nice.
A regular old game. It's on the PlayStation subscription service, I believe.
Yeah.
And I had always been looking at Cat Quest 1. I'm like, that game looks pretty fun.
Just the cover art is nice. It's interesting.
The art is good. I really enjoy the art in this game. It pops. It really is just like has a great color to it, a great line work to it. Things are very clear and the animations are very nice too. But this is fun because it's a great co-op game, couch co-op. I will champion any and all couch co-op games, and this is a very fun, easygoing action RPG. So you are a cat and a dog. There's a cat and a dog in this one. You are cat and dog kings from old who have been beaten by some evil boss, and they have been reawakened now to take back their kingdoms from evil usurpers of their thrones, and they must reforge the king's blade by finding different shards of it across their respective lands.
That is a lot more lore than I was expecting there to be. I
was about to say the lore goes hard in this game, and I'm here for it. It is ridiculous, and that's about as deep as the lore gets, to be honest, at least right now. But it's fun. It has a good enough backstory to make me get pulled into this fantasy land. So lore goes hard. It's fun. It is a very kind of pure game. It is so goofy and silly, and almost every single dialogue box has a pun in it of some sort, dealing with paws or fur or barking or anything like that. The puns are out of control in this game, but I think that they do them so much that it just becomes endearing as opposed to like kind of a wink wink nod nod sort of deal to the player. Sure. Like, hey, these dogs are saying Barktavius or something like that, you know? It just comes at you so hard and fast that you can't be mad at it because it's just so consistent, which is an interesting way to make me not get annoyed by puns. But the action is and the gameplay is good. It's basic. It is you hit, you dodge, and you can have 4 different spells going at any one time. The spells, I think, are probably the most interesting part of the game gameplay wise, because you can do different magic attacks that will slow down people or do like status effects. Yeah. Some of them will the ice magic attack goes in a straight line north and south from you, and then the lightning attack goes east to west. So you kind of have to position yourself a little differently depending on who you're fighting or what spell you want to use. And then some support skills in there too. Like there's a shield support skill. There's health regen, there's mana regen, but
Sure.
some of them you have to be like in specific areas of the map. You like lay like a mana regen mine somewhere, and then you have to be there when it goes off, and then you get mana. So there is some thought into, making the gameplay more varied than just smack and dodge. There's a lot of loot in the game, and the loot looks very different. I feel like in a game that has, fairly simple combat, you have to make the characters look different to make it interesting still by giving them, better armor, better hats, better weapons to do things with.
Yeah.
Just keep it fresh. And they really keep it coming at a pretty steady pace. I don't feel like I, am using the same weapon for more than like, I don't know, an hour or so at a time. So that is, I think, a wise decision on their part there. And the co-op is great. It flows easily. You can kind of just go as far apart from each other as you want. You don't have to be next to each other the whole time. Yeah. Unless it's, of course, like something to start a story mission or a mission in general. The dungeons in the game are short, sweet, and simple. They're not like these Dwemer-esque marathons in Skyrim or Oblivion or whatever. So you just like pop in, pop out, get some loot. You're good to go to the next one. And the last thing that I really enjoy about the game is the overworld. The overworld is like the world. You are essentially playing on a map of this kingdom, and I love that. I love a good fantasy game map, or just fantasy map in general, and just being able to explore this map as character, just walking around, is really a lot of fun to me. I really enjoy that. Yeah. And it's also just beautiful to look at. It's just kind of a happy game. So yeah, really enjoying Cat Quest 2.
Yeah, it's the map sort of looks like you are literally walking across like a gigantic map of the actual place.
Of the actual world. Yeah.
Right.
So it looks like a world map.
Yeah, the names of towns are on the ground next to like little
names
encampments
of towns,
and stuff.
Names of deserts, forests, lakes, right? They're all just scribbled over the where you are. Yeah, it just gives it a very nice, and once again, just leans into that fantasy lore vibe that you get from it. You're like, okay, this is a world that has existed for a long time with stories in all these little nooks and crannies that I'm exploring right now, which is great. I love that.
Yeah, I've been feeling and thinking a lot about like simplicity in game design recently. And it's like such a hard thing to do because like you really don't want to simplify it to the point of it being boring, Yeah. And so like you really do have to be careful about like how to apply that. Again, the famous example being like Eco, where they stripped away most of like the superfluous shit until it's like just trying to get out of this big castle, like and like holding a hand is one of the few mechanics that you get there. And then with the two games that I'm going to talk about here in a second, it's the same deal of like there are things that feel very stripped down in a cool way, and it's hard for me to distinguish all the time. Like, do I like this because it's like elegant, or do like where's the line there between elegance and simplicity in these like games? And I don't know, it's always kind of a moving target, I feel like. Yeah, because this game looks fairly like it's not simple, right? Like it's not you're not like just pressing one button to like beat the game, but it looks like less complicated than a lot of other games that I've seen.
Yeah, most definitely. It's not like Horizon or any of those open world action games, right? It's straightforward. It gives you it's not introducing new game mechanics like 5 hours in, right? It gives you everything up front, and then you just enjoy the game after that. And I think there's just enough variety in what they give you to augment the base of the game to keep it fun. Yeah, we've been having a great time with it.
Sure, that's cool. Like that.
That's all I've been playing. Chase, what have you been playing?
I got 2 games, David.
Let's hear it.
Let's see. What is the offer I'm going to give today? Would you like Kingdoms or Fast Cars?
Ooh, Fast Cars.
One of the games I've been playing, David, is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Whoa.
This is a
Need for Speed. How old is that game?
Yeah, so this is the remake that I think came out at least a few years ago.
Gotcha. Okay.
Of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, which I believe is a game that came out in about 2010, which in itself is a soft reboot of the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit games, which were much older than that.
Yeah. Was that second one with Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad?
Not in this one.
No.
There was 2. There was Need for Speed Most Wanted, but yeah, Need for Speed's Hot Pursuit 2 or Hot Pursuit 3 were like games on I think the like PlayStation 1 era.
Yeah, PSX.
And then this one was I think like an Xbox 360 game, but there's like no characters in this one.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's possible that 2 had Aaron Paul, but I don't remember. So many of those Need for Speed games blend together with me, and I'm just never really sure like which one is which.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, no worries. But I knew I had played this game when it came out, and I was just like, I have no memory of what this game was. So like it was on I think the PlayStation monthly games or or whatever.
Sure.
And checked it out because I was like, I feel like I had a good time with this. And a bunch of things. One, it was made by Criterion, which you will definitely know from Burnout.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't know they made this game.
They did. And you can definitely feel it while you're playing this game. There's like, you can feel it in kind of the way the cars control. The other thing that you can tell from Criterion being involved here is there are pretty frequently moments where the point of the game, Hot Pursuit, like the original one, is like you are racing and then cops show up and try and stop you. Typically in both of these games, you can play as either part of that interaction, right? So like there are levels for street racers or just like racers, I guess, and then levels where you play as the police as well. Which initially I was like, I'm not gonna fucking know police levels, brother. But they're also very fun, so I had to dip in there as well.
Cool.
But whenever somebody pops up on the screen where it's like, hey, you need to like subdue this person, a little health bar pops up, and I'm like, Criterion, I know what you need me to do here. You want me to slam into that car as hard as I possibly can.
Smash this car.
Yes, they're like, go get it, go get him.
If this health bar is full, ostensibly you can make this health bar empty.
Go away. Yeah, you should slam and jam. Yeah. But it's really, really satisfying. Like just for this era of racing games, Criterion had like some special sauce that they were sprinkling on all their racing games where like the impact sometimes of these crashes just feels so good and weighty. And like at times you're driving a tank and other times you're like just barely holding it together. Like I don't know how they do it, but it really, really works.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that has been interesting in playing this is like the landscape of racing games has changed so much since this game came out, because like in some ways I'm like, oh yeah, arcade racing games, I forgot about those. You know, like it's largely just Mario Kart and I guess now Family Guy Kart. But
welcome to your new hell.
But like this brand of game is like not really around as much.
Yeah.
Or if you do see an arcade racer, it's something like Victory Heat Rally, where it's like a hyper indie game that is like solely focused on like its drifting and like its sense of speed, you know? I just think that like Forza Horizon and Forza in general has kind of like eaten the racing scene's lunch in a lot of ways. Like it kind of consolidated. Like Gran Turismo's been around and will continue to be around. So it's like, it's kind of that and Forza. And then if you want it to be slightly more arcadey, it's Forza Horizon. But even that like is still, if you compare these two games, like is still so much farther on the sim scale of things compared to these arcade games that are like, you usually don't need to brake when you're playing these kind of games, you know? And like the intent with them is just like, you play bespoke levels of like, here's the race that you're loading into and you're going to play that one and then you'll be done and, you know, launch into something else. Whereas, you know, again, in most other like high visibility, big racing games, you usually have an open world. That's also kind of an assumption now too. Forza, the actual like Forza Motorsport, that isn't always true. Sometimes they'll just do levels and shit, but like Horizon and then what is it? Need for Speed. What was the one that Unbound, the one that came out a year or two ago?
Yeah.
It was also kind of open worldy. Of course, Gran Turismo is level based, but they've always been and will probably always be level based.
Yes.
So it's been interesting to play this because like it just feels old now. It feels like kind of an older way of doing racing. That's not to say bad at all. I'm having a great time with it because like it's fun. It's fun to throw a car around a corner, you know, like that kind of stuff is still very good. And you know, I wouldn't say I'm more drawn to either one of them. I think just like Forza and Gran Turismo have made the sim racing game so good.
Sure.
That, like, you know, it's kind of just a matter of like, well, I haven't played that many arcade racing games in a while, but this one is really good. So I am enjoying it. And I think the fact that it's like a remake too, just, you know, it updates it a little bit. It makes it make it a little bit more modern. So that's cool. I will say I didn't notice it that much when I was playing it. I'm sure if I like had the like Halo fucking Master Chief Collection thing where you can just like slap the old graphics on it whenever you want to.
Yeah.
If I had that, I'm sure it would be remarkable how much better it looks. But to my eyes, I was just like, yeah, it looks like racing. We're racing, you know?
Yeah.
Again, that's
no difference.
Another problem of existing in the same genre as Forza and Gran Turismo. Both of those games are usually like
fantastic.
We want to make this look so good, you know? So it's bizarre playing this, I will say. I downloaded Burnout Paradise because of this game.
Sure.
Because I missed it. I totally missed Burnout Paradise. I never played it.
Same. I played a little bit, but I wasn't ready for the open world racing game. I wasn't ready for it mentally.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
Yeah. I don't know what was going on because I loved Burnout Takedown. Was that 3?
Burnout 3 Takedown is
peak.
It is
peak.
so good. It is so good. Yeah.
Fucking absolute cinema, man. That shit's so so good. So like, and I've heard from a lot of people who like that game as well, that they're like, yeah, but like Paradise is the one. So I got to check it out. I got to go play that. Cause yeah, if anything, this game has just made me think like, man, Criterion was really on something else back then.
They had it going.
It was really cool. So yeah, that's a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit remastered.
Hell yeah.
The other game that I've been playing, David, I promised I would, and here I am playing it.
All right.
Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven, David.
There you go.
I played this game. I played the demo of it late last year, and I was like, you and me in January, we got a date together. Because it just felt like a game that I kind of needed to like sink into.
Yeah.
And as I was trying to power through Metaphor and like play it before the end of the year, I was like, I don't have time for another big ass RPG. That's not a thing I can do. For anybody who doesn't know what this game is, it is a entirely not reimagining, but like a full top to bottom remake of the Romancing Saga 2 from, I think it was the SNES era. It's a game that like looks nothing like this. It was like a top down 2D RPG from that era. Whereas this one is like full 3D, it's voice acted, like the whole thing is totally different.
Yeah.
But they've sort of kept, from what I understand, like, you know, the main thrust of the story and kind of some of the mechanics of it and how some of the like leveling up works as well. Essentially, like in this game, there's no levels on your character. It's much more about like the levels of their weapon experience. So like how good are they at using fire magic or axes or swords, or like, you know, how much MP do they have, or sorry, BP. They also have something called LP, which is life points.
Whoa.
Which is something that like whenever you drain your health completely, you will lose a life point. And if you get to 0, then that character dies permanently, which is...
so they only have X number of life points for the whole entire playthrough.
Yes, but one of the bigger twists with this game is that pretty frequently in the game, you will like abdicate the throne. You play as like the emperor of this kingdom. And by abdicating, you move time forward. And so when you like pick up a new character, it's like farther in the future now.
Sure.
And so what ends up happening is like, yeah, you have to kind of keep an eye on some of the life points of these people, but whenever they make kind of larger time jumps, it's like, well, you know, here's a brand new team that I get to, you know, go out with. And so I am someone who just simply refuses to let anybody die if there is permadeath.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I will not have it. And so I've never experienced it, but something that I thought was interesting is that like this abdication thing, or at least when it time skips and you have to choose somebody else, because you can do either. Sometimes the time skip is like it happens in the story once like some stuff has gone down, or you can just choose like it's time for a new emperor and then switch them out. But whenever they do that, I definitely feel the like kind of permadeath thing creeping up, but it's like you have to do that to like move the story forward, you know? So like at some point you do have to let go of all these characters that you like, you know?
That forces you.
Yes, it does.
Because they just get old and die.
You don't see it, but that's the implication, right? It's like 88 years later or something like that. It's like, well, none of those people are here anymore.
Yep.
And I think that that's interesting, and it kind of speaks to what this game is doing that I find more interesting, which is that it starts very narrow, the scope of it, and just starts to widen as the game goes on. Initially, it's just like you are just hanging out with your dad going on a quest, you know, like your Emperor Leon is taking you out and he's like, son, you're kind of soft and we need to toughen you up a little bit if you're going to be the Emperor. And you're like, all right. And, you know, it's pretty much just that. And it's very standard kind of turn-based combat, which I will say is not bad, but again, sort of the same conversation around simplicity versus elegance of like, is this good because it's simple? Is it not as interesting because it's simple? I don't know. Like I'm still playing it a lot. And so I have to like presume that there's something keeping me there, but it is more traditional, right? I think after playing so many Atlas games and looking at how different turn-based combat can be, that suddenly it's like, oh yeah, here's regular turn-based combat, or at least more traditional.
Sure.
So it starts at that scale and then just kind of keeps going out wider and wider and wider. Cause you know, after some stuff, you become Emperor as Gerard, the guy you're playing as in the beginning. And it's like, okay, then you get like a little bit of a kingdom map of this little area that you're in. And it's like, hey, we need to go like rid this area of like bandits or monsters that have taken up residence in this like old castle. Okay, let's do that. And then it like has kind of a tangible effect on the kingdom. Like, you know, it's changing, and you know, you may see like more income for your kingdom suddenly because like this mine has been like taken back from monsters or something.
Sure.
And then it kind of starts to get into like I wouldn't say city management full blown, but like a kingdom management sort of thing of like, okay, like there are quests that I can take on that will change how much money we make after battles, or how well my like smithy can work in the kingdom and stuff like that, which is all it turned. And I was like, okay, I like, this is interesting. This is cool. You can start like making more money for the kingdom and investing in like, all right, I want to build a place where people can study magic in our like capital city, which will thereby unlock more spells for them and stuff like that. And it kind of starts to layer in on itself, which is very neat. I found all that like very cool and just entices me in a way that like sometimes these RPGs can feel very character focused, and that's on purpose, right? Like I would say most RPGs are usually about the party that you're in.
Yeah.
And so to kind of like also add this scale of like, yeah, but also the kingdom is something that we're kind of focused on here is interesting. And then once some other stuff happens, the scale again changes because you're like, oh, this part of the map that I've been looking at is not at all the entire world map. It's like the Limgrave experience in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Because it's like the place that I thought was the whole world is not, right?
Good.
And then suddenly it's like, okay, there's a lot more of this game than I thought it was. And that reveal can either really hurt or help a game. And in this case, I think it helps because suddenly I'm like, oh man, okay, there's like a big wide world out there that we need to like help, or, you know, the all these disparate parts of the kingdom need something. And so like I should go help them, you know? There's also this wider plot that starts to prop up about these like 7 heroes is what they call them. The revenge of the titular 7. And initially I was like a little bit confused because in the very beginning cutscene, they like present them as like this maniacal, menacing group of people. And I'm like, that's not the imagery I would expect you to use for a group of people called the heroes, right? The 7. But they look very frightening. And sure enough, you encounter one of them early on. It's like, that's a demon. That's a bad guy, you know? But you're also getting these like flashbacks to much longer, I think, ago in the past. And the heroes look like just normal people, right? And so this like kind of wider plot of like what happened, you know, like why is this the case?
Gotcha. Some Two-Face stuff going on.
Yeah. It feels kind of like the story in Final Fantasy 14, or even the Keyblade Master shit that happens in Kingdom Hearts 3, where like they're really throwing it back to like much older things. And so that has been keeping me there too. But I will say that all of that is sort of a double-edged sword in the way that like I start to grow very fond of my party and the person who I'm playing as. And then it is all stripped away because it's like, okay, now it's time to progress the plot forward and go forward in time. And it's not necessarily that like I think a game shouldn't do that, because I think in another example trying to do something kind of similar in Dragon Quest, I think it's 5, Hand of the Heavenly Bride, you like play as this character throughout his like entire life, like from him being like a kid, or like a baby to a kid to a man, right? Like, and so you're making these pretty significant time jumps, all in which like the world changes and the people in it change and shit like that. And the person who you were playing as previously, you know, they're still the same person, but they're much different now. They're much either older or different perspectives that they have and shit like that. And so like, I think it's maybe trying to do something similar in that like these big time jumps are supposed to communicate like change and things being different and kind of the impermanence of it all. And I think it's asking you to take a look at the scale of the kingdom rather than the specific people. And I do in theory like the idea of like this kingdom is held together by like the good actions of people in every generation choosing to be like, yes, we will kind of be the defenders of the kingdom this go round, you know? But I think in practicality, like more often what happens is me being like, oh man, I liked those guys, you know?
Yeah.
And like, you know, they're archetypal, like the big tank guy sounds the same every time, every generation. So like, it's not that big of a deal, but just
different
like,
skin.
I think when you sort of pull the emphasis away from the specific characters in it, then it can have sort of detrimental effect on the thing that I think RPGs are really good at, which is, you know, this kind of ensemble cast and you caring about the people and the change in the characters that you're seeing over the course of the game. And so I think all in all, like it's just a different choice and one that I'm kind of still chewing on. But all that said, I like the experience of playing the game is really nice. It's just like very easy to play, you know, like not an easy game, but just like combat snappy. It's fun to run around the kingdom. I love to like go from one town to another and be like, hey, what's the problem here? Let me fix it. And like go into a dungeon and fight a big boss and get some new moves and upgrade my kingdom and come back and recruit some new people and get some new armor and shit like that. Like it's just absolutely classic RPG shit that I think that they've done done it really well. Like it all just really works here.
Nice.
So yeah, I think it's pretty great. It also looks so fucking good. It's crazy how good this game looks. Like it is, they've just got that kind of like, it's not anime style, but kind of reminds me of like the Tales games in the way that it looks. It's just, it looks great. I really love the visual style of this. It's all very like stylized and cool. All the monsters are really amazing looking. Again, I think I said this the last time we talked about it, but it feels like a Dragon Quest that's not a Dragon Quest game, where it's like just absolutely classically well done shit, but wasn't made by the Dragon Quest team. So I'm really enjoying it. And I guess that would make sense given the time that it was coming out originally was kind of around the time that Dragon Quest was also like extremely firing on all cylinders. Not that it isn't now, but like they were really coming out with some heaters back then.
Sure. Yeah.
So I should say the original version of this was coming out around then, but you know, the remake is still relying on similar stuff. So yeah, I think it's good. I think I'm enjoying it.
I think it's good.
I think it's good. I think your mileage will vary depending on kind of what your taste is in video games.
Sure.
But for me, I think there's a little bit more mechanically satisfying stuff in this one on the larger scale that I don't usually get from RPGs. Again, sort of this like city management sim in there as well that like
that intrigues me.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Can I have an energy crisis?
Yes. It never rises to the stress of like city skylines or something like that.
Gotcha.
But it is cool to just like I feel like it's closer to like Dark Cloud in the way where like you have this RPG game that you're playing in the dungeon and then you come back out and that has an effect on the world that you live in, you know, of like I can literally walk into the door of the smithy that I built, you know, and it's like it's a physical representation of the choices that I'm making in the way that Dark Cloud is, right? You get the sort of like orbs and then you come back out into your town and have to build it physically. And so like I like all that. I think that like works well. Yeah, that's Romancing Saga 2: Revenge of the Seven, David.
Nice. Sounds fun.
It is. Yeah, it's worth a look if you're interested in any of that. This will all bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, though, David.
Which is?
It's the Humble Quest log, my friend.
A good quest log. Yeah.
It helps me. My brain goes every direction sometimes in video games, and like it's just so nice for me to be able to be like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? What am I doing here? You know? I think there's something to be said for like a Dragon's Dogma level quest log where sometimes they're just like, I don't know, go to another city, you know, like it's very sparse on the details, but the game is like built around that sparseness. But like, I still like it when it's just like, here's the town you got to go to, dude, you know?
Dude.
That
here
works
it is on the map. Go there. Do it.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Yeah. It's great. And I think it's largely also great because they were so long when we were playing video games where like you just had to try and figure it out. And like, again, that's why I was kind of scared when games like any of the FromSoft games or Dragon's Dogma started popping up again, because I'm like, I lived through the PlayStation 1 and 2 era, and like a pretty valid way to play a game is like just talk to literally everybody until the quest continues, you know? And like, that's not always fun. It's fun when it's done intentionally and like you can depend that like the developer is expecting you to do that, or like that there is some stuff to be unearthed. But like when it's just like, I don't know, talk to everybody, like that's tough. That's tough for me to do.
That was a tough one. That's a tough one.
And so if you're not going to build the game around like having this kind of natural experience of going from one point to another and knowing exactly what to do, then here is the Humble Quest log to tell you, here's the quest that you're on. That really works for me. I like that. David, do you have something fueling your sense of pod?
I do. It's variety.
Oh man, UFO 50 is nothing but, baby.
Truly.
Yeah.
I just love a game that can keep on giving me different things to do and just giving me, but not like overwhelming me, right? Some games will overwhelm you with the amount of variety they have. But if it's just kind of brought along easily, it feels natural as part of the storyline, it's great. I feel like a game that did it really great before was Sly 3. That game was all over the place with variety. It just felt good. Psychonauts, you know, it's just always something different and new to augment the gameplay and or present you with totally different little bite-sized delicious games like UFO 50 does.
Sure.
It's just I think something like video games do great as a medium. It's just giving you a bunch of different ways and things to do to keep it spicy.
Keep it spicy.
Keep it spicy.
I agree. I've still been playing the Like a Dragon, the Yakuza game, kind of in the background. Nothing really new to say about it, but like, man, that game has a lot of variety in it. So much shit to do in that game in a way that does not feel overwhelming. It feels like, hey, this is fun. Wow, I can't believe this is in here. Yeah. But you don't like have to engage with it if you don't want to. It's great. I really like that variety.
Hell yeah. Love it.
From what I hear, the spice of life, David.
It sure is. Keep it spicy.
Keep it spicy. Keep it nicey.
Keep it nicey. Keep it spicy with some variety.
Do you want to move on to our main thing?
Yeah, let's get out of here. Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
you ready to talk about some motherfucking trucks?
It's going to be so hard to not keep the burp in that one, if I'm being real.
I mean, I feel like it is keeping in character with the American man.
It's appropriate for the game. Welcome to Good Games. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. It's fucking truck time, baby.
Get ready for the trucks.
It's Ford Truck Mania, y'all.
I don't give a truck what you think.
I don't give a Ford about what you mania.
Ooh, damn.
We got suggested to play Ford Truck Mania.
Yeah.
From listener Pepsiman. Thank you, Pepsiman.
That is the appropriate name for someone to recommend this game. Yeah.
On the topic of this game, Pepsiman had to say, it's got Ford, it's got trucks, it's got Mania. It's an old as hell PS1 game in which the racing is meh, but the track creator is peak and allows me to have some pretty fun tracks to create. This game was a blast growing up, and I'm sure it would just be mediocre at best now. Thank you, Pepsiman.
Thank you, Pepsiman. Is Pep related to the Kool-Aid Man?
I have to assume there's like some sort of cousin relationship there, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, familial ties somehow.
Yeah. Or like friend cousin, you know, like they grew up on the same block or something like that. And it's like, oh, that's cousin Pepsi. You know?
Or like blood brothers.
Right. Yeah. They've seen some shit together.
Yeah.
I'm presuming you had not heard of Ford Truck Mania before.
No. I'm not surprised it exists, but I have never heard of it.
Yeah, me neither. I feel like there was a lot of these kinds of games when we were younger where like some executive was like, why don't we have a video game? And then they're like, well, I guess we could.
Some out of touch executive walked in on their kid playing a racing game. It's like, those should all be Ford trucks. Why don't we call it Ford Truck Mania?
Yeah. And that's how this game was birthed. I had also not heard of this. And it seems a lot of the internet has also not heard of this. Finding information about Ford Truck Mania was a little bit more challenging than I expected it to be. It's pretty rare that a game that we cover just simply doesn't have a Wikipedia page. It's very often sparse, right? Like it'll be like, here's when it came out, here's the developer who may not even have their own like Wikipedia page, and like here's some reviews. But like that was not the case. I went to my old friend Moby Games, which like again sometimes plays pretty fast and loose with reality, and like, is that who made that? Or like, is that exactly when that came out? I'm not totally sure. But they had an entry for this one, so I pulled most of my information from them.
Great.
Speaking of which, can I hit you with some hot stats, David?
Please.
Hot stats.
All right, so Ford Truck Mania. Rev them engines, baby.
Rev them up.
It was released September 16th of, shockingly, 2003. What are we doing?
Wait, really?
Yes.
For the PS1?
For the PS1. For anybody who wasn't alive then, the PS2 was very out at this point and had been for like years.
That's fantastic. That actually makes this game better. Wow. They're like, no, we don't need a PS2 game. PS1 all the way. Here we go.
It's probably not exactly the same thing because you do see like cross-gen releases now, but like if somebody was like, hey, we're putting out a 360 game now, like, what are you talking about?
Yep.
What?
This one's Xbox One exclusive.
Yes, yeah. You need the Kinect to play Ford Truck Mania too. This was made by Alpine Studios, which we'll all be familiar with their work from The Bible Game for GBA.
Whoa.
Bigfoot Collision Course, and of course, David, Stone Keep, Bones of the Ancestors.
Wow, that is quite a spread of games.
Yeah. There's sort of a lot of ideological differences between all of those, I would presume.
Yeah, we got the Bible, we got cryptids, and we got dark fantasy.
Yeah, it would seem that way. Well, pretty wild stuff.
Okay.
I do have a review, one of two of them, on the website, mobygames.com.
Great.
This is from an outlet called Game Chronicles. I took their review, which I think was still in English, and then Google translated it into a bunch of other languages, one into the other, to mangle it up real good and get an artist interpretation, which I'm going to read for you right now, David. Ford Truck Mania is a good place, if not the original. Alpine Studios took everything that was bad and created a boring and frustrating. Bad drivers, unmemorable songs, and poor graphics all combined to make this wonderful. This is probably the most boring feature in a car racing game. It's not the worst entry Gotham has ever made on PSX low-end series, but it's close. Get away from it. And they gave that 17 out of 100, David.
Wow. It's a
pretty bad.
Low score. more.
Pretty bad. You wouldn't be able to tell from the review. It was nearly unintelligible, but they seemingly did not like this one very much.
That's like a super fail.
Yeah, like anything below 50s, like how are you even judging that level of bad?
I know, right? Like I already know it's bad, but like it's 17 out of 100.
Yeah.
A prime number, 17.
We never talked about this. I'm glad that we don't have to put numbered scores on reviews anymore. Like if we had to do that on our podcast, I think that would be nightmarish, David. I would lose sleep. Yeah. Cause like how? I think even like a 5-point score is so hard.
This is a 3.789 out of 5.
Like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is about as far as I'm willing to go. Mm-hmm. And even that sometimes I'm like, God, how do you judge it?
Why not just 1, 2, 3?
Or I think this was a TikTok or something I heard that was like a scale of enjoyment should be -5 to 5. Like 0 is true neutral. Like it makes me feel almost nothing. Whereas like dipping into the negatives is like, I actively didn't really like it. And so like rather than 3 being neutral, it's like 0 is like fine. That was totally fine. Nothing really stirred in me, but it wasn't offensive on any measure, you know?
This was game.
This was game. Speaking of which, what is Ford Truck Mania, David?
It is a Ford branded truck racing game. There's 4 trucks you can have a mania in. And I wouldn't say that that's really a mania if there's only 4 of them, but that's the 4 you get. And you can give them different custom paint jobs and you race them around like 4 or 5 different tracks that they have on this game. And then there's a level creator. I didn't even realize there was a level creator. Maybe I missed the actual really good part of the game.
I messed around with it a little bit.
You race the trucks around the tracks.
Yeah.
In places such as canyon and swamp forest that's raining and regular forest area. Yeah. So yeah, some varied levels. Truly.
Yeah. I feel like we have covered so many of these kinds of games, David. The like just fine racer from an old generation.
Yeah. I thought this one was particularly wild because of how much it was like banging the drum of Ford, but how little like truck there was actually in the game.
Yeah, it's weirdly when you're playing it, the least important thing about the game.
Yeah. Why can't I play like every single truck ever? Why can't I be like a big rig, a Ford big rig? Who knows? That would be fun.
It is odd. And like, I'm sure that they modeled some of these trucks after actual trucks, but like to the layman, to me, like there's no big Ford logo. I'm just like, I don't know. Looks like a truck.
Looks like a truck,
you know, which maybe is better, but still like you get the advertising out of the way at the front where it's like, it's Ford time. And then you just play a racer and it's kind of nice.
It's racer. It felt very much like Cruise in USA to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's probably the closest analog to like what the racing. Yeah. Where it's like, you really are supposed to just be like slamming on the accelerator the entire time you're playing this game.
Yeah. The turns are, I mean, they're there and you have to get around them, but they are really just in the way of you going straight as fast as you can.
These turns are stopping me from trucking.
Gotta keep on trucking through these turns so I can truck some more.
The soundtrack is absolutely bananas. Somebody really liked Megadeth who played this game.
The rock music, is something else. Each level, just guitar.
Yes.
Going crazy.
If you could imagine the soundtrack for Ford Truck Mania for a game that came out in 2003, it's exactly what you're thinking of. Like, do not second guess it. You know what this sounds like.
In your heart, you know what it is. You could probably hum it right now.
It's I mean, it matches exactly what the game calls for, you know? Yeah. Exactly what it needs to be. The actual racing, I was surprised that it was as like normal and fine as it was.
Yeah, it was not egregious. Like it offended me not at all. It was a fun sometimes.
Yes.
It was decent, right?
I feel like with most of these kinds of racing games where they're just like, let's put 4 cars and like 3 tracks in this game, I kind of just need it to be like tolerably good, you know? Like the racing to just at least be all right.
Yeah.
Because it definitely cannot be very good. Like there's plenty of racers from this era that just feel awful to race in. Like it's either way too squirrely or like your car feels so heavy that it's like just impossible to have fun in it. But like these trucks are turning around corners much faster than an actual truck would. And that's fine. That's cool.
These trucks are like doing hairpins so easily. They are, it's almost like an RC truck that you're controlling is almost more accurate. But the racing is enjoyable. I would say that if I had this game as a child, I would probably play it pretty often on my PlayStation. Just jump in, do a couple laps, and then jump out, put something else in. Who knows? But yeah, it feels almost like a demo disc game.
It does, doesn't it? Like there should be like 10 more cars here or something that you're only getting a slice of it.
I've only got the man. I need the Ia as well.
It's the track creator stuff is really cool, and I think like especially for a game of this era, like stuff like that didn't really happen very much back then. And like it was in the last like 10 years or so that like custom car racing tracks are like a thing that people can do.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see like what other kinds of tracks people make nowadays, because like I really only ever see, I think it's Truck Mania, the one where you like just press go and it essentially takes you on like a roller coaster ride of a track. But like I feel like there's so much talent out there in just like the fan world of game design and shit that like I bet there are some extremely competent like racing maps that people have put together. So anyway, point being, like it's cool that it's here as well. And I'm sure like I don't know if we ever had that experience when you and I were younger. I feel like the only time that you and I ever did like the custom map stuff was in Smash Brawl.
Yeah, we did a lot of custom maps in Smash Brawl.
Sure did. And it was fun because it was a way to experience like, hey, I tried to put this map together. Does this work at all? Or is it just like so annoying to play in that we just never choose this map?
Yep. I made a lot of those ones. I'm just like, I'm gonna do something crazy.
Exactly. Is there a gimmick everywhere on this map or so? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff can be really fun and like is kind of an exercise in designing something cool, like a game, a beginner's game design sort of thing of like, how do I take the tools that this game has given me and make something that's fun for my friends? I wish I was more or had been more interested in that when I was younger. It always felt a little bit overwhelming to me in the way that like, Super Mario Maker always was like, I don't know, man, it seems pretty tough. But like having a track creator like this or really anything in a game, like, and having a group of friends who are like, yeah, let's try it. Let's play it. That stuff is miraculous. It's so cool.
Absolutely. There's something special about that. The freedom, the thrill of seeing someone enjoying something you made.
Yeah.
Special.
I think it's cool when you can put something, essentially take an idea you have and it like works in kind of a digital space, like it's like, hey, the thing that I hoped would happen is happening. Like in, the Smash Bros level, it's like, I put this one ledge right here to try and like make it kind of annoying for somebody trying to get like down off this platform. And therefore there's a lot of like fighting that happens right there or something like that,
I drew them to my trap.
Right. Yeah, exactly. In a way that people like find fun rather than like, that was mostly just frustrating. But that's like really cool and does offer a sort of like glimpse into like what it's like to make a game in general, warts and all of like, hey, that was really hard. Or also like the people did not play that game at all like I was expecting them to. And that happens in, track creators and custom app editors and shit like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience with any of those other like, I guess like map creator, game creator games?
Oh, not really. That was never like my jam, I would say. I never really did like Mario Maker or Little Big Planet or Dreams when it came out. Probably Smash was the one that I used the most. Yeah, for sure.
It is sort of hard because like we're never taught that stuff, of course, like that's not something you learn in school.
Yeah.
And so you truly have to just like intuit everything, especially in this era where it's like good game design is still like kind of a moving target and people are still like figuring shit out like that. And so you like just have to be somebody who can kind of rely on their instincts up until, probably 10, 15 years ago where like people are teaching and trying to like spread that knowledge around, or you have to have friends who are already doing it, because like when I was thinking about like what is intimidating about making like a custom level or a custom map is like, it's kind of the blank page problem of just staring at a blank white page being like, right, like what do I do here? How do I like make
There's
something
too many
interesting?
options.
Yeah. And so like having to overcome that is like kind of a hurdle, but I guess probably with like YouTube and shit, you can get a little bit better of a grasp on that.
Yeah. I was just going to say, it's interesting in that I feel like there are some games that have gamified that and made it really fun, namely Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Right.
And I'm just thinking like, what makes that experience different than, having it be a track creator that is, or a level creator that has been added on to a game that is kind of separate from the creator, right?
Yeah. I think it's the goals, right? It's the game has some kind of goals for you or is tracking like how effective your creativity is.
Yeah.
Whereas like the kind kind of custom map creators, like it's so dependent on like people's taste and just like other humans being like, yes, I liked that, you know?
And the whole entire time you're creating it, it's just kind of like you're in the void. You don't know if it's going to be good.
Yeah. It's like you might have like, there's that like fucking Ira Glass like speech. He talks about like having good taste, but not knowing how to like make something of that yet. Like that there's kind of a brutal valley there where it's like, you know, if you're learning a musical instrument or something, it's like, you know what good guitar sounds like. You like listen to music and you're like, I know when someone is playing guitar well, but I can't like get there or generate that quite yet. And it's like a very frustrating experience because you're like, I know what this should be, but I can't do it, you know? In the same way of like, you know, I think kind of inherently a lot of the time you'll play a game and even if you don't notice like the level design is good, you know that like the game is good. It feels good. And like you might be able to pick out like that was good level design. I went where I should go, but like to actually be able to like break it down to that point is like really challenging. Or just to even be like, I've got an idea or I don't have an idea. How am I going to like navigate that too? Yeah. It's I mean, it's cool. It also makes it really rewarding when you do something like that. I think like RTS is, or not RTS, but tower defense is also kind of a similar genre that like gamifies making a custom map or level or something where it's like there are external forces that are going to like put pressure on this thing that you built. And if you build it well enough, it'll like hold up, you know? In one situation, it's like, you know, maybe zombies are attacking your tower, but in other ones, it's like I built a racing map for my 3 friends and the pressure is going to be them racing on it and trying to have fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is, it's cool. It's fun. I'm not, that's also a genre I'm not crazy about is tower defense.
Sure. I've never really got into a tower defense game. Yeah.
Yeah. There's very few that I'm crazy about. I liked the final spell. That was cool. Or the last spell. And Thronefall, that game we played for the show last year, the like very simple tower defense one.
Yeah, sure.
That was also really cool. So they're out there. I think just like in the same way, sometimes it feels a little overwhelming of me to be like, oh God, like I don't think I can do this, you know?
Sure. Yeah. It's a lot of upfront expectations and pressure.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah. It's kind of a shift in perspective of like what I'm doing with a game, you know? Because oftentimes playing a game is so focused on the directionality of fun being me to the game. Whereas like if you have to kind of reverse that and be like, I need to put fun into the game.
I need to generate the fun. I'm the fun generator now.
That's like a very different experience.
Absolutely.
But yeah, cool that it's in Ford Truck Mania, dude.
Yeah, Ford knew what the people wanted. America's all about freedom, so give them the freedom to make their own track. But only 4 trucks.
Shouts out to the United Auto Workers Labor Union.
Let's
go. Yeah, I think they work at Ford, so let's absolutely go.
Let's do it.
You were not a truck boy. You didn't own a truck.
I did not own a truck. No,
I also did not own a truck.
I owned a truck remote control cars.
Sure. Yeah,
those were good.
What other kind of trucks? Man, I don't know if I've talked about this on a podcast before. Man, do I want a fucking Kai truck? Those like teeny tiny pickup trucks from Japan that like are only legal here because they're old, you know?
I respect your desire, but I don't understand it.
They just look so stupid. I want one of those so bad.
Just to look at it and be like, you look stupid, and then just like walk back inside, not drive it.
It's a very silly car. I would like to drive a silly car, you know?
Silly man.
And like maybe, you know, rightfully someone might say the road is not a place for silly, you know? It's a dangerous activity to drive around. But
yeah, like is the silly car a safe car? That matters too, right?
Almost uncertain, like certainly not. Absolutely not. It is not a safe car.
Usually if it's small, it's not that safe, right?
Yeah, no, the crumple zone is pretty much your knees is what's happening in those cars.
Yikes.
So certainly not safe. And especially with like cars in the States just being like gigantic turbo destruction derby style cars these days. I can't imagine that a teeny tiny car would be very safe, but maybe it'll just get me to the grocery store, you know? Like what if that's the thing I did with it?
Why not?
Why not buy a teeny tiny little car? And like they used to be so cheap, which is unfortunate because everybody in the States has caught wind and they're like, ooh, let's buy them and soup them up, which means that like you can't get one for like less than $7,000 here. But like for a little while, like kind of pre-pandemic, they were going for like $700 or $800.
That's nothing.
I know. I feel like I truly
that's a PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yes, but it's a vehicle. Yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway, that's Ford Truck Mania.
Kai Truck Mania coming next week.
God, I bet there is a game out there for Kai Truck Racing. I bet it exists on Steam somewhere.
Kaiju Truck Racing?
Yes. Yeah, I'm into that. Pepsiman, thank you for your suggestion of Ford Truck Mania.
Thank you, Pepsiman.
welcome to the outro. It's me, Chase, and I'm here to get you through it. That sounds like it's going to be painful. It's not. I'm just going to tell you some things about the podcast. If you want to interact with us anymore, you can go to podtimism.com and check us out. There's a couple of things on there. There's links to our Discord. We are a part of the TWG Discord. Thank you for having us. And yeah, there's other shows on there that you can check out if you want to. You can go in there and yap at them. You can yap at us. Come and hang. It's a good time. It's a fun spot for cool people. Let's see. You can also check to see if we've played a game that you are interested in, or if you want to suggest a game like Pepsiman did. Do that on the website. So yeah, check it totally out. Thank you to Scout Wilkinson for her art that she has kindly provided. Well, I mean, we paid her, but like she made it for us, and that was very cool of her for our podcast art. And yeah, if you want to help out the show, there's a couple things you could do. One of them is to tell a friend, and if you find your biggest truck friend and be like, I've got such a cool idea for us today. We're going to listen to a Ford Truck Mania podcast, and we're going to go to our local Ford dealership and buy a new car. And
then worship Truck Thulu on the way home.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And yeah, or you can just leave a review on a podcatcher like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever you got. It helps out the show. So thank you for doing that. And listen, between us, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening so much. I love to make the podcast, even in January, especially in January, actually.
Something to do.
It's like a nice little pick-me-up, midweek pick-me-up. We usually do this on Monday, but it's Wednesday right now. And it's nice, kind of anchored the middle of my week,
There you go.
I'm
your hump day, baby.
I'm your hump day. That's nice. So yeah, thank you for listening. We appreciate you. And we like to make the podcast, so we're glad you like listening to it too. David, do you have any gaming wisdom for me?
Trucks, man.
Yeah.
Trucks. They are versatile. They're useful. They're useful tools. So, get a truck. Go to your local Ford dealer and say, give me your most expensive truck.
Happy Honda Days, motherfucker. It's time to buy a truck.
It's that time of year. It's January. It's truck month. Let's go.
It's truck month. Nobody talks about this enough, but it is truck month in January.
It's truck month. All sorts of trucks. F-150s, Rams, Tacomas, Ridgeline. That's all the trucks I know.
I liked the most recent episode of Podtimism, but they just listed trucks for a couple of minutes.
Well, how many trucks can you name?
That's it. Tacoma is the truck I know.
That's it. Just because it's Tacoma, like Washington.
I think it's because it's Toyota Tacoma. It sounds nice together, and my brain has sort of latched on to that.
It does.
Honda Acti, I think, is one of a Kai truck.
Oh, okay.
ACTY.
I have good news, Chase.
Yeah, what's up?
There is a Kai truck mod for SnowRunner.
Ooh, yeah. I think it's time to get back into SnowRunner.
I'm watching a video of it right now. It's pretty good.
Anyway, we'll see you next week. Don't forget to bring your truck to the next one.
Yeah, bring your truck. Park it in your living room and listen to the pod.
Okay. See you next week, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
TWG, the worst garbage, online.